Hello, today we're going to be talking about possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns are pronouns that show who or what owns something. What else have we talked about that tells us who owns something? That's right, possessive nouns. So a possessive noun is made by taking a noun and then adding apostrophe s to the end. So like a proper noun like Mrs. Gill. So my example says Mrs. Gill plus apostrophe s equals Mrs. Gills, which is a possessive noun. It shows that Mrs. Gill owns something. And an example with that in a sentence says, Mrs. Gill's book is interesting. So it tells you that the noun book belongs to Mrs. Gill. Possessive pronouns are similar to possessive nouns, but they're a little bit different too. Let's see if we can spot the difference on the slide that follows. So I have a couple of examples of possessive pronouns. The first one has a picture of books and it says, these books are mine, or these are my books. Now it doesn't say Mrs. Gill's books, but it does say these books are mine, or they are my books. They say that they belong to me. So they are still showing that Mrs. Gill owns something, but instead of saying Mrs. Gill, that is now replaced with my and mine. And then the next one says, the puppy is his, or this is his puppy, which shows that it belongs to a boy. Now we don't know what boy because it doesn't have his name, but we do know that it belongs to a boy. At the bottom of the page, my face is actually covering it, but it says, do these sentences tell us who or what owns something? And yes, they do. They just don't tell us the name of the person who owns that thing. So then I have a list of possessive pronouns that come before a noun. Words like my, your, her, his, our, and their. And then an example would be, that is my pencil. The possessive pronoun my comes before the noun pencil. That is my pencil. Then your, it says your dog is friendly. The possessive pronoun your comes before the noun dog. And again, it doesn't say exactly who you would be, but if I were to say your dog is friendly, I would be talking to you. And instead of saying like Mr. Gill's dog is friendly to Mr. Gill, I would say your dog is friendly. It would be kind of odd to use his name and say that to him. So the next one says her. I went to her house on Saturday. Again, that possessive pronoun her comes right before the noun house. And then you get the idea. His shirt is red. Our class is intelligent. Their friends are nice. Every time you see that word that is highlighted in blue, that's your possessive pronoun. And then the bolded word afterward is the noun that the possessive pronoun owns. Some possessive pronouns stand alone. That means that they don't have a noun right before it or right after it. A lot of the times you'll see that I have is before or I have are before the possessive pronoun. Examples of these kinds of words are mine, yours, hers, his, ours, and theirs. And again, when you use these words, you're not using possessive nouns. You're not saying Mrs. Gills or Mr. Gills or Mrs. Gross's. You're just saying mine, yours, hers, his, ours, theirs. You're replacing those possessive nouns with possessive pronouns. Again, on some examples, we have that pencil is mine. The friendly dog is yours. The house I went to on Saturday is hers. The shirt is his. The intelligent class is ours, and the nice friends are theirs. Again, this is a little kind of a weird way to put it, but I took the sentences from the previous slide, and then I turned them into ones that had words that stand alone. So it's a little funky to read it that way, and I think most of the time we'll use possessive pronouns before a noun, like that is my pencil, or your dog is friendly. And then some possessive pronouns can come before a noun, or they can stand alone. Do you remember which ones you saw on each screen? Remember, we have my, mine, your, yours, his, hers, our, ours, their, and theirs. And it's a little tricky, but if you look back in the list, you see his and her on both of these slides. Actually, hers is different. So you see his on both of the slides. That's one word that can stand alone and come before or after. but that's not super important to know. It was just kind of a fun fact for you to look for. And then to review, possessive pronouns tell us blank or blank owns something. What did I say in the beginning? Possessive pronouns tell us who or what owns something. They can go blank a noun, or they can stand blank. And we said, you can pause it and try to think of it if you don't already know. But they can go before a noun, or they can stand alone. And then the last bullet point says possessive pronouns blank possessive nouns. And remember, we talked about how possessive pronouns can replace possessive nouns. So I just filled that in for you guys to see. And you can always come back to this and use it as a nice reviewing tool.